Breaking news involving a New York politician. Staten Island Congressman Michael Grimm, a Republican, will likely be indicted for federal campaign finance violations. Grimm's attorney saying he now expects that indictment, which he calls politically motivated. Grimm caught on camera in this clip threatening a local reporter that he would, quote, break him in half like a boy and throw him off the balcony when he was asked about that investigation at the State of the Union in January. There have been allegations of straw donors giving to the congressman's campaign and other methods of money being funneled to Grimm as well. And as we begin to digest this story, we are joined now by Richard St. Paul on our panel, Republican strategist, former vice chair for the National Black Republican Association, and just named a 2014 Rising Star by the Business Council of Westchester. Clearly, punctuality playing a large portion in that.
Rising Star.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Richard, you're an attorney as well as a political advisor.
Yes.
If Grimm's attorney is saying he's going to be indicted or probably going to be indicted, it's a done deal, right? He's going to be indicted?
Well, pretty much so. And so what happens typically in that case, I've had clients who've been indicted because I do practice some criminal law. And typically what it means is that they'll surrender, the client will surrender himself, so you don't have the whole fanfare with the reporters following you around and the handcuffs on and coming knocking on your door at 6 o'clock in the morning. So probably surrender. He'll go with his attorney, he'll surrender himself, he'll go before a judge, bail will be set, he'll be released on his own recognizance, and then the indictment will probably be shared publicly at that point in time about what he's charged with.
From a political standpoint, the question then becomes, can Grimm run for re-election with this indictment over his head? And if not, what happens next? Vito Fossella, the former congressman with his own scandals in the past, has certainly been positioning himself, one would think, for a possible run. Dominic, what do you think? Can Grimm run under indictment, and is Fossella the next likely guy?
He can do whatever he wants. He can attempt to run, but he's not going to win if he is indicted. And when your own lawyer, as Counselor just indicated, when your own lawyer says we expect for an indictment, that means somebody in the feds have said, listen, get your client in here so he's not walked with cuffs in public, but we are going to arrest him. This has been inevitable, frankly, when you look at it with the congressman going back. Allegations, there have been so many different allegations with this congressman. So he can run, but if he's indicted, it's going to be very tough for him to win re-election.
When Fossella decided he couldn't answer the bell and run for re-election after his scandal broke, the seat went Democratic. First time that's happened in a while. How Republican is this district? It's Staten Island and a little slice of Brooklyn, right?
It's very Republican, but it's a district, as you just pointed out, that has gone Democratic. And the man we were just looking at, Mr. Fossella, don't write him off. He's very well liked in the district. Despite his past problems, and a lot of people in the district view those problems that he had as the past, and many of them, frankly, want him back as the congressman.
In addition to Vito Fossella, another name getting some mention is Assemblywoman Nicole Maliotakis.
Right.
Assemblywoman Mayor, what can you tell us about her?
She's an outspoken, quite conservative representative for her district. She really goes to her own conservative beat, I would say. She's quite articulate about it. She frequently speaks on the floor, on bills, on the budget. She attacks the Democrats. She's I think a partisan person, a believer in what she stands for. I think she is popular in her district. I don't know. A lot of this has to do with whether he withdraws and the parties designate a new candidate. How at the end of the day, there's politics there too. And whether she's a person versus Fossella who's, made peace with everyone who's going to be a decider, I don't know that. And I think at the end, having been through one of these special elections or one of these processes like this, a lot of it depends on the local people who control the party and decide if he decides not to run.
I mean, Fossella's been a name that's been out there even before this indictment news.
Right.
So I think that's, probably the second best option. The name recognition is there. His ability to run, the fact that in the past he's had issues, and it's very much in the past.
Unless the party thinks because of those issues that it might open up the possibility of a Democrat winning.
Even with Grimm's issues, he was still very popular, and that was prior to the indictment. So I don't think they're really concerned about his past issues. So I think at the end of the day, running under indictment is very difficult. Very few Congress people, if any elected officials do it, though New York State will probably lead the lead the gamut in doing that.
You are leaving out of the conversation the possibility that a good Democratic candidate can jump in here. One, when you have an incumbent who has to leave because of an indictment,
is possible.
And two, even if Fossella comes back, everyone is not going to forgive his past indiscretions, which were not minor, shall we say. And I think there's a real opportunity for the Democrats to get this seat now.
I want to jump into another campaign investigation related to a political race in New York. Former New York City Council Speaker and mayoral hopeful Christine Quinn, you know she ran for mayor, dug her heels in, firmly refused to support a ban on horse carriages during the campaign. And that stance is what some say led to her downfall in the race for mayor. Her polls plummeted after animal rights group NY Class launched an offensive against her. It paid for months of robocalls and mailings attacking Quinn. And now the FBI is investigating that campaign. Sources say the FBI appears to be evaluating the nature and threat and whether it went beyond the normal rough and tumble politics and drifted into something close to extortion. Now, this was the Anybody But Quinn campaign. Scott Levinson, consultant who's been on this show many times, was the head of that. He's named in some of the reporting about this investigation. We don't know all the details about what's happened. We don't know the specifics of what's involved here. But if a group says, we want your support on our issue or we're going to actively campaign against you, isn't that politics? I mean, isn't that just generally issue politics the way we know it today?
Or the same thing, you know, hey, would you attend my fundraiser? We can talk more about your position on this, on whatever particular matter. I mean, that's politics. It certainly is a fine line between extortion, which is typically threats, either, you know, give me money or I'm going to spill your secrets about something, and politics, where you say, listen, change your position or we're going to run anti-campaigns against you.
Well, that's
anti-campaign ads against you.
But I suspect, and we'll find out, that there was more than what you're talking about, the rough and tumble of politics. We don't, you know, either change your view or we're going to actively campaign against you. Agreed in a very aggressive way, but that's not criminal. The question
and if it was, that would be investigated by campaign finance authorities, a campaign finance board. That wouldn't be an FBI investigation,
it would be district. Anything criminal would be district attorney. Campaign finance boards wouldn't really. They refer that to the district attorney office. It would be the district attorney, the AG's office, and the U.S. Attorney's office.
But
the only one to deal with criminal.
And it would have to be the U.S. Attorney. If the FBI is investigating, that would have to be the U.S. Attorney's office. That's on the federal.
It is. That's right.
If it goes to that step, my point is, I think this is. The fact that they're engaged, the FBI, means there's a different level of scrutiny, and they may find nothing, but the fact that they're in there indicates that there's a possibility there's something that was unlawful, as opposed to just the push and pull of politics and issue politics. And they played hardball on this issue.
They certainly
very
did.
much so.
I'm glad to use the term hardball. Full disclosure, Scott Levinson has been a friend of mine for about 30 years, and Jamie McShane, who was the communications director for the city council, which indirectly works for the speaker, he used to work with me, so I've known him about 25 years. This doesn't smell right. You know, the fact that Jamie McShane is involved says something may have gone wrong. Why do you say that, Dominic? Because Christine Quinn runs for mayor, but her spokesman for the city council could not be part of her campaign for mayor because government separates from politics. The fact that the feds are interested in talking to him, and one of the potential threats went through Jamie McShane, apparently, that says that they're looking at a real possibility that she was threatened in advance, in which we do know the language: either you change your position on the horse carriages,
right,
or we're going to ruin your campaign for mayor. And who can forget that television commercial? It was brutal, where it said, you know, it had the eerie music with it and the smoke-filled rooms, and those campaigns ran repeatedly. It was the beginning of the end for Christine Quinn.
And of course, as we reported this week, when it came to horse carriages, Mayor Bill de Blasio hasn't always been in favor of a ban, but he received a bunch of money, about $45,000 in his campaign coffers after he made that change.
I just want to make this one point. Quinn brutally blamed de Blasio for being behind this, and he adamantly denied in an interview that we did that he had anything to do with this at all. So now everyone's running for cover because the FBI is taking a look.
2 stories, 2 investigations, high drama coming in New York politics. Up next, Governor Cuomo sticks to his guns. He's defending his move to disband the Moreland Commission on Corruption. Why? Because he says, it's my commission, I can't interfere with it because it was mine. Is it case closed on this, or is that really a legit argument? We're going to hear what our panel thinks when we come back.